and welcome to the Ram Show. Everyone should be able to hear me. I'm pretty sure I've got all the settings correct for this week. And what is today? Today is October 15th, 2017. So, yeah. I think it's going to be an okay-ish show today. Topics weren't the greatest for this week. But with that being said, let me do that. Let me bring in Zach here. Hello, Zach. How's it going?
Going all right.
So, anyway, Zach was telling me before we started, he's got like 5 assignments due for one class all in one day.
You're not wrong.
What are they, by the way? Like, okay, so I know the instructor, so like, where would you rank them? Are they like easy or are they like, complicated, I guess?
Well, okay. I mean, they're basically prepackaged ones, but I mean you know how he always does the chapter XX lab and the chapter XX assignment, right?
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
that's what I got, and I got 3 chapters worth of them.
Oh, fine. So, well, look up all the answers online and call it good.
I mean, you could.
Well, yeah, you could. Anyway, so, with that being said, let us get into... Hey, I have paper copies again this week.
Ugh. Printers.
You know what? Okay, luckily... Hold on. Okay. Luckily, I have not had that many issues with my printer. Although, did I tell you a couple weeks ago my mom printed like an entire book?
I still think printers can burn.
Yeah, my mother
I
printed
despise
like
the
she
things.
went through like an entire ream of paper.
What?
Yeah. Yup.
Okay, so just hang on while I print this entire book real quick.
Well,
what?
okay, so my mother is like she's a nurse, and so they have like continuing education things and stuff like that. And so she was at a conference this week. And in an effort for them to save money, they don't print stuff out anymore. So they say, here's everything you need. And most people have tablets and stuff like that. My mother does not. So anyway, they're like, here's all your stuff. And then you can decide to print it out or, put it on a tablet or yada, 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 or whatever. So anyway, so she printed it all out. And yeah, like I said, literally went through like a ream of paper. Maybe it wasn't
just a computer. You don't even have to have a tablet.
She doesn't
If you
have...
have a computer, you're good.
She doesn't
Right?
have... Well, she has my old laptop, but like it needs a new battery, so that wouldn't have worked.
So she basically just doesn't use a computer?
No, she uses a computer. Like I said, she uses my old HP ProBook 4510S.
Oh, well, the way you said that made it seem like she just didn't really use a computer at all.
She doesn't use like tablets per se. She has one for work, but like not like a personal one. So, anyway. But yeah. So, first topic for this week. Remember, we've talked about this in the past before. That's why I put it in there. Remember how Razer is working on a phone?
Oh, yeah. A gaming phone.
A gaming phone, yes.
It just makes you go, what? A
So,
gaming phone. Are people that serious about mobile games?
I don't know.
That they would buy a phone just for gaming?
I'd be interested
Or just
to
for its
see...
capabilities as a running game?
I'd be interested to pick
Like-
up one of these new Razer phones when they come out, but I feel like they're going to be expensive, knowing Razer. So,
Oh, I'm sure they'll be expensive.
we are a couple weeks away, though. From
At this
Razer.
point, actually, I should add that it might even be kind of justified, because does that even exist? Like, is this a thing that anyone else has tried to... If this is actually a unique product that nobody else has, it might be sort of justified.
Okay. Well, we're a few weeks away from it being released. So it looks like we're going to be getting some... or we may be getting some early details. So, Foam Radar spotted a listing on GFX Bench for a Razer phone that lists a bunch of high-end but very plausible details on what may be inside the upcoming phone. So, here we go. I don't know how well you know hardware for phones, but according to the listing, which has now been removed, by the way, the phone's going to have a 5.7-inch display with a 2560 by 1440 resolution, So it's about the same as the LG G6. It's going to have a Snapdragon 835 processor and include a single 12 megapixel rear camera, an 8 megapixel front camera, and 64 gigabytes of internal storage. So those specs right there, what are you thinking?
How much RAM did you say it has?
I didn't get into RAM yet. We'll get into that in a moment. Well, actually, you know what? We'll get into it right now. So, most phones in 2017 are shipping with like 4 gigabytes of RAM right now. So it's kind of
standard as far as
that's
high
the standard.
goes. It's not special. It's not. I mean, to me, what this seems like is just a high-end phone, really. I mean, I don't know what's special about it.
Well, okay, so most phones nowadays are shipping with 4 gigs. Some are shipping with 6. This one is shipping with 8, supposedly.
Oh, you just said 4. I thought you meant this phone was 4. No, okay. Well, if it's 8, that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah. So what? So
better than. It's definitely better than most.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying.
I'm not sure if any other flagship has 8 gigabytes.
I don't think so, and that's what I was saying. So most phones are 4 gigs. Some have 6, but this one has 8, and that's kind of
and those are like the highest end flagships with 6.
Yeah, well, yeah. So most flagship Android phones have 4, with some including 6. So this leak suggests that Razer could be about to jump ahead. So, which, if you think about it, so if you're building a gaming phone, RAM is somewhat important for that. So, as is the processor. I don't know how much you know about the Snapdragon processors. I know nothing about them.
Not much, gotta say. Pretty much nothing.
So, yeah, because I was going to ask you where the Snapdragon 835 processor sits in the lineup and stuff like that, but I wouldn't even know on that stuff, so.
I mean, I guess if I had to take a guess, I'd say it's probably just the newest iteration of the line.
Sorry, I was thirsty. That could be. Excuse me. Razer is supposedly planning to position its phone as a device for gaming. Again, I don't know what kind of gaming they're talking about here, though. It's gotta be mobile gaming, because I can't see you loading, like, it's gotta be mobile gaming.
Of course it is. Yeah, it has to be. No way it's anything else.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense, given that Razer is a gaming company. So, I mean, that's kind of what they do.
I mean, I guess calling them a gaming company just sounds kind of weird, but I mean, all their products are branded for gaming, so.
Well, it's kind of like
Corsair. Yeah,
well,
it makes sense.
You could say the same thing about Corsair, too. That they're a
but they don't just make things that are branded for gaming.
I guess that's true. So, Razer is supposedly planning to position its phone as a device for gaming. So extra RAM ought to help with that, but it's by no means a guarantee that this phone will perform better than its competitors. Ultimately, what'll matter is how well the whole package has been optimized together.
Well, yeah, obviously the RAM. I mean, the 8 gigs is definitely impressive, but it's not a.
Oh yeah, definitely impressive, for sure.
It's not the be-all, end-all feature.
Right. So it's going to be running, of course, a custom version of Android, but it's going to be based on...
Oh, they have their own version of Android too, are they?
Well, it's going to be based on Nougat, which is, a little bit slightly out of date, but that's okay. Or at least it will be when it comes out, but it's not surprising.
Depends if it's getting updated or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Not surprising, though, that we're, going to have some customizations in it. Stuff like that. It's going to come with Ashes of NextBit.
Excuse me?
The phone comes
I don't even know what that is.
From the ashes... Oh, comes from the ashes of NextBit. I don't know what that is either. Yeah. Which built some really smart cloud features into the operating system. So... This is one thing that I would hope they would keep in there, because, if you think about it, the cloud is becoming a big thing nowadays. Stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's possible that we'll see some of those, once again, in this phone, and it would probably be a waste if we didn't see them in there. You think about it. So, now, we also wouldn't be surprised to see Razer build in some custom gaming features as well into the phone. So
Now, I don't know what's desirable as far as features that someone who plays games on a phone would want, but yeah, that would be, to me, what would make or break this thing. They can put flagship specs in it all you like, but that doesn't distinguish it from another flagship. So they have to do something, specific features for people who like to play games.
Well,
So
okay,
that's what's going to make it different.
So the 8
Or
gigabytes of
software
RAM in
features.
it, the 8 gigabytes of RAM in it, that's probably part of it.
Well, okay, you're right, but eventually everyone else is going to catch up to that too.
That's true. So where it may be is those custom features that Razer creates for the phone.
So
in the
it
software.
either has to be higher end hardware than anyone else has, or it has to have some custom features, really, that
or
nobody else can
both,
say.
if you think about it, or both.
Yeah, both. Both is all the better.
So, well, think about how Apple has kind of gotten ahead for, a while. And then slowly kind of...
Not in specs, they haven't.
Well, not on specs, but like in terms of like the features in the phone and stuff like that. So, kind of. They were for a while. Now I feel like Android is starting to catch up and sometimes beat Apple. So, you know what though? I would be, and I know you're not a huge fan of Apple, but
Understatement of the century.
I'm curious to know what you think though. So, if Steve Jobs was still alive and running Apple, do you think we would have seen the things happening to the iPhone that we've seen? Or, like, I don't know.
I don't even know what Steve Jobs would have liked. I don't know. I didn't know the guy.
Well,
so
I didn't know the guy either, but like
there.
he was the driving force behind Apple, It was, we're going to do this and we're going to do it this way and stuff like that. So I wonder if he was still alive, would the iPhone 7 still have a headphone jack? Who knows?
Well, you can have a headphone jack if you put a power drill to it, right? That's what I heard.
You know what? Still super funny, right? So, one of our reporters got a new iPhone 7. I've said this before. One of our meteorologists has an iPhone 7. He was having trouble with his his work phone the other day. He was doing a live shot, so he had to call in. And he called, and he's like, oh, yeah, I can't plug my IFB in because I don't have a headphone jack.
I would have laughed in his face.
Well, luckily he had his other phone, so he could, which was an iPhone SE or something like that. So
I would have laughed in his face and told him to buy something that isn't garbage.
Yeah, you probably will. Oh my gosh. I'm like super tired today for whatever reason. So, anyway. Oh, okay. I know this is a tech channel, but I have to talk about this real quick here. So we're going to dive into the world of sports really quickly here. So today was, well, okay, hang on. So,
I know nothing about sports, just telling you that.
I know you know nothing about sports, but, well, okay, you'll know enough about this, okay? So today was the Vikings-Packers
Better be
game.
enormous. It better be enormous news for me to know anything about.
Well, okay, so today was the Vikings-Packers game, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when I say you know this, so you know that that's a big rivalry.
Yes, they have a rivalry.
Okay, like huge, especially...
My family are from Wisconsin, so I know all about the rivalry. No, we have a bunch of neighbors that are fans of rival teams.
So, okay, so anyway, so today, Packers-Vikings game, right? First quarter. Does this make me a horrible person? That's the question here. So the first quarter, Aaron Rodgers, who is the quarterback for the Packers, got slammed into the ground and hurt his arm. So obviously, if you're a quarterback, you kind of need your arm to throw the ball. Pretty important part of the game. So anyway, ended up getting hurt and was out for the rest of the game. I was so happy. Really? I was like, yes! So my question is, does that make me a horrible person?
I mean, I guess it I don't know. Probably not. I bet most people would feel the same way. I mean, maybe that just makes most people horrible. I don't know. But
So, no, I was, well, okay, so here's the thing. Our starting quarterback is out right now, Sam Bradford. And, like, one of our star players, Stephon Diggs, is out. So, we were already, like, so that's why I was kind of glad when, like, Rodgers was hurt. Because then it kind of, like, evened things up a little bit-ish for us. So, anyway. One of my directors at work, though, he's from Wisconsin. He's a huge Packers fan. I'm sure he was not happy. So,
I can see why.
Anyway, so yeah, I'll have to give him crap on like Wednesday when I see him next. Anyway, okay, getting back into the world of tech here, a little more in your wheelhouse, right, Zach?
Gone sports.
So, Google, as we know, is a search engine that's based on taking over the world, correct?
Sure. What's new?
So, Google has created, the Google Home and all that fun stuff, but they also created a smaller version called the Google Home Mini. So, kind of how you like have the Amazon Echo and then the Amazon Echo Dot.
I don't understand.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Google just, decided to talk in the background. Thank you. Anyway, so Google has decided to permanently remove the feature that led to a small number in quotes, by the way, of home mini units accidentally recording thousands of times a day.
How do you accidentally record stuff thousands of times per day? What? This is either a huge mistake or it was no accident.
I think it was a software bug. So instead of...
I guess it could be a small bug that just...
That's an understatement. Small
just
bug?
the right place.
Small?
No, I mean like a small bug in just the right place can like just be a huge problem.
Right? So, okay, so I guess it has a button on top, and the idea is that you're supposed to be able to tap the button, and that triggers it, right? Well,
right.
In a statement released by Google, the company said it made the decision to disable it because we want people to have complete peace of mind while using Google Home Mini. So they made the right call on this, but I guess what was happening was, like, people were tapping it to activate it, and then it was, like, getting stuck and just keeping the mic on. Or, like, the button wasn't getting stuck, but, like, it just, like, wouldn't turn the mic off, I guess. So.
Nice. Good job, Google.
Anyway. So, but yeah, so Google has decided to permanently remove that feature from the device. My question is, though, so if you permanently remove this from the device, then does the button just not have a function anymore? So do you just have a random button now? Hey, what does this random button do? Oh, okay, it does nothing. Why
it used to do something, but they uninstalled that part.
Right.
It doesn't work anymore because Google said...
Man, like the last couple words that if you're saying, like sentences, like here and there, you're dropping packets again. Or you're push to talk.
I find that...
Actually, no, I don't think you're dropping packets. I think your push to talk delay is just off.
Well, my ping is fine, so...
Because you keep clipping yourself on the end of your sentences. So
I'll try to hold the button longer.
Okay. So the Home Mini shipped with a feature that lets owners activate Google Assistant and control music by tapping the top of the speaker. Okay, so maybe it will still have a function for music, like play and pause. Anyway, so it turned out that some units had an issue. They would register touches even when no one was there. Oops.
What?
Yeah. So, like, it would think that somebody was, like, hitting the button to activate it when they really weren't. And then that led to, the unit starting to record. And it would do it over and over and over again. Yeah, it would get stuck in a loop, and it would just keep recording over and over and over and over again. Now, if you think about it, pretty darn creepy, right?
Whoops, we might have just accidentally recorded everything that happened in your room.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, we'll fix it.
So Android Police identified the error on one of its review units, and Google resolved the problem before any home mini units could actually get shipped out to customers. So, I mean, it was kind of like, oh, we screwed up, but we didn't super screw up because we haven't actually shipped them yet. So the only people...
I guess that's a plus.
It is a plus for the company. The thing is, so like the only people who have them are like review samples have gone out, but that's it. So it hasn't been like publicly released yet.
I guess that's good.
Right? It's still the
But
idea
you gotta
behind
wonder
it, though.
how much recording they do, or how much recording the ones that are already out there do. Like not that specific model, but those home assistants in general.
That is one thing. You really have to trust the companies that are, supplying these things. Like I have a Google Home in the background here, and you heard it perk up earlier and stuff like that. Like how much of it is it actually recording? How much of it is it not recording? Kind of thing. So I don't know. If you're all tinfoil, if you have a tinfoil hat kind of thing, if you're all tinfoil hattish and stuff like that, you would probably believe that,
It records everything!
Exactly.
The NSA is watching!
So, I don't know. My tinfoil hat on that one is not there.
A little far-fetched, but it wouldn't be so far-fetched to think that maybe they record stuff for advertiser data or something like that.
Ooh, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
I've heard that one like 1,000 times.
Good point.
It's pretty plausible, you gotta admit. Especially given how much money they make selling that data. Now, not to just go and say, all these things are evil, blah, blah, blah. They're recording everything, but I mean, I bet a lot of data does go back.
Yeah, I don't know how much goes back, but yeah, probably more than you actually think.
But, I mean, a lot of data goes back to the whether you're using this thing or not. If you ever use Google, data's going back.
That is true.
So, I mean, well.
Yeah, so as I said before...
Pretty tough to avoid Google these days.
That is true. Like I said, they're the search engine based on taking over the world.
Right. They're doing a pretty good job so far.
Right? Yeah, they're already in our houses. Oh, gosh.
It's actually a mind control device, in case you didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. We secretly find that out, 10 years down the line.
It was actually a mind control device.
So, anyway, excuse me. As we had said, it has not been released yet. So they fixed the bug before it actually went or is being shipped out. In fact, it isn't rolled out yet. It's supposed to be rolled out on let's see here. Well, okay. So the fix is supposed to be rolled out on the 15th, so that's today. And that's a few days before the mini ships. So I don't actually have an actual ship date, but so supposedly the patch went in today for that. Now, Google had seemingly hoped to return the top button functionality to the Home Mini at a later date, but now the company seems to have given up on that. And that's either because it couldn't figure out a way to do it, or simply out of an abundance of caution. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, I wonder if they only removed this because they got called out on it.
I don't know.
And they're sitting in their boardrooms going, darn it, they noticed.
Like it was actually supposed to be in there, and then they were hoping that no one would catch it.
And then, they got called out, and they're like, oh, sorry about that. We'll make sure we take care of it.
I would like to believe...
Oh, crap, they found out.
I would like to believe...
It'd be funny, but I mean...
It would be funny, but I would like to believe that Google has more,
there are companies I would not be surprised to see do that, but I don't think Google is one of them.
Yeah,
Google aren't that.
I think they have strong morals there in saying that, no, this just is not a good idea. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they disable the button for both reasons, though, because they can figure out how to make it work, or, they just were like, you know what, make the customers happy kind of thing. But anyway, either way, it's not the biggest loss, on the thing. And here's the thing. The thing is designed to be controlled by voice. It's a voice assistant. So.
Well, you'd hope the voice software is on point then, huh?
I've been pretty happy with mine when I've used it. So, it works pretty well. So, with the top button gone, the home menu now has to be activated entirely by voice, like we said. But again, not a big deal because the thing is designed to be a voice assistant anyways. So, anyway. But this still leads the question as to, did they remove the button completely? I doubt not, because if they're already getting close to shipping it, I'm sure that they already have it made. So I'm guessing that the button just doesn't do anything now. Or...
Well, that's true, but they'll probably find a use for it, don't you think? I mean, they're really just going to have a button on the device that just doesn't do anything?
But see, that was the other
thing. Oh, yeah, we
too.
had this feature for it, but it got pulled. Well, I mean, it would be kind of silly for them to do that and just leave it there.
Well, like I said, and I think it said in the article, too, it was, like, for controlling, like, music, too, so I'm hoping that, like, you can play and pause with the button and stuff like that, but other than that, yeah, I really don't know what it really does, so, anyway, but, yeah, it would be kind of funny, though, it's like, oh yeah, here's a random button, nobody knows what it does, apparently it does nothing.
Because it doesn't do anything anymore. It used to. We pulled it because it didn't work.
I
mean, if they were going to do that, it would be more like they would probably release a fix for the intended feature for the button.
Well, but see, here's the thing. They said that they are permanently disabling it. They're not going to bring that feature in. So,
well, that means they probably have other plans for the button then.
Well, that could be.
If they didn't have other plans for the button, they might be forced to fix it.
That's a possibility, yeah.
To avoid just leaving a useless button on their device.
Yeah. So here's my question for you, though. And that is do you think it was a good decision on Google's part to just completely remove that feature entirely? Or do you think...
if they didn't think they could fix its intended purpose, then yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Well,
if it doesn't work, don't bother.
Again, what we said was, part of it was probably either they couldn't figure out how to do it, or they're just, like, being completely cautious, being like, okay, here's the thing. We don't want to, invade our customers' personal privacy and stuff like that, so we're just going to remove the feature from the device itself. So, and if that's the case, then props to Google.
And we'll probably never know.
That's probably also true as well. So, anyway. All right. Let me do this real quick here. Time for the Microsoft news. Your favorite part, Zach.
I love this part.
Okay. So, this week we actually have a couple different Microsoft stories. I decided to group them both together here. So, one of them is one of them is very much like last week's, where we get to kind of make fun of them, and the second one is one of these really, and your reaction. So don't look at the second news story yet for Microsoft News this week.
All right.
Because I want your genuine reaction when we get to it, and it's going to be one of those like, really, this is a bad idea. So anyway,
did you really do that?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those. It is going to be one of those. But let's get into this one first. Okay. So, are you familiar with the Windows Phone?
Sort of.
Well,
I mean, it's dead now, basically.
You know of it, right?
Of course I know what it is, yeah.
Okay, so, anyway. In a series of tweets, Microsoft's Joe Belfiore has revealed that the software giant is no longer developing new features or hardware for Windows 10 Mobile. While Windows Phone fans had hoped Microsoft would update the platform with new features, it's now clear the operating system has been placed into service mode with just bug fixes and security updates for existing users. Basically, the whole premise of the story is that Microsoft is saying, yep, the Windows Phone is dead.
Well, fair enough, because
But they're finally admitting it, that it's dead.
They're finally admitting it. It's pretty dead. I don't think it's coming back.
Right? Yeah, so... sorry. Going through notifications on my phone. But yes, they are finally admitting that the Windows Phone is now dead. Like, hey, we tried and we failed.
Well, I mean, they tried for a long time, that's for sure.
So I just think this is funny because last week we talked about how they admitted that basically Groove Music was a flop, and now they're admitting that the Windows Phone was a flop as well.
Like they finally swallowed their pride and just went with something that already worked. Well, at least with the Groove Music thing, they just decided to partner with a company that had something that already
right. Okay, so question for you though, real quick here. Okay. Microsoft has now admitted that... question for you, okay? Microsoft has now admitted that Groove Music is dead, right? Microsoft has also admitted that the Windows Phone is dead. How long is it going to be before Microsoft admits that the Surface is dead?
It's probably less dead than either of those two things, though, isn't it?
It is less dead because, well, you know what? I just saw a commercial for, like, the Surface laptop earlier.
The Surface Book?
Yeah, well, no, I think I actually called it the Surface Laptop, but yeah, I think it is like the Surface Book or something like that. So, I don't know though. Remember a couple weeks ago, like a month ago, we were talking about how it was plagued with problems though.
And the reviewers were, yeah, and the Consumer Reports gave it a bad score, and Microsoft wasn't happy or something.
Yeah, they were not happy. Basically, well, you know, think about it though. Like anytime somebody's like, "Oh yeah, your product's crap."
Well, yeah.
So, thinking about it...
And basically, Microsoft pulled some PR nonsense saying, oh, we disagree with their decision, blah, 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 blah.
Should we start renaming Microsoft to Microcrap?
No, because it doesn't have a ring to it, really.
No, it doesn't, but...
it doesn't really...
We need to work on the name, but... Anyway.
And unlike some other companies, not everything they do is complete garbage. They just do a lot of things that are garbage in addition to things that are sort of...
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. So, getting back into this, they say, of course we're going to continue to support the platform, bug fixes, security updates, but building new features and hardware aren't the focus. During the recent Windows 10 Fall Creators Update development phase, it has been obvious Microsoft is no longer working on the mobile experience. The software maker branched its development process into Feature 2, leaving Windows Phone fans disappointed. I don't know why you would ever be a fan of the Windows Phone. It was a horrible platform. Well...
I mean, some people buy Apple products.
Okay.
So, you know.
Okay, hold on. Here's my argument to that, though, okay? Okay? More people buy Apple products than they do Microsoft's phone. So, there's my argument on that.
That's true. Windows Phone is probably more garbage than Apple.
And I don't know what the market share looks like anymore, but what is the
I don't either.
Yeah, what is the comparison of iPhone users to hang on.
The age-old question, iPhone or Android? Feels like it's been debated for centuries. I don't think anyone will ever win that debate.
So, iPhone to... Uh-oh. Okay. Well, I don't know if I... Let's see here. iPhone to Android market share. That's what we want. We want market share. Okay. According to The Verge, this was written in February 16, 2017, earlier this year. 99.6% of new smartphones run Android or iOS. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't help me out very much.
That doesn't really help.
No. I want like a graph is what I want. Let's see. Let me see images here. Is there a graph? Okay, top smartphone platforms in the U.S. Well, this is September 2014, so this is a little bit older, but anyway.
I think that U.S. and elsewhere are going to be very different.
Well, okay, so
elsewhere there's probably more. It probably would favor Android more, even though in the U.S. it may still favor Android.
You know what though?
But I mean, it's not quite fair because there's just so many more companies that make Android devices.
That is true too. So top smartphone platforms in the U.S. This was in September 2014, so it's a little bit old. But Android was at 51.50%.
And that's in the U.S.?
This is in the U.S. Apple was behind them at 42.20%.
Wait, but was that just for the U.S. or was that global? Or what was?
No, this is just for the U.S.
Just for the U.S. All right.
You want to know the best part, though? You want to know what the best part is?
What is the best part?
So, what the heck is Symbian?
Huh?
What the heck is Symbian?
Symbian? Where have I heard that before?
Well, apparently it is a smartphone platform. A very small
Must not be very common here.
No, 0.10%.
Oh, so it's not very common anywhere.
Although, okay, so here's the funny part, right? Microsoft actually did beat BlackBerry.
Oh, well, BlackBerry's practically a nobody these days.
You know what would have been funny, though, is if BlackBerry had beaten Microsoft.
It would have been funny if BlackBerry beat anybody.
So, anyway. Let me see when this one is from. I want something more current. Okay, this is 2011 here. Mobile browsing market. Okay. So, in 2011, Android was still the top performer. iPhone was directly behind them, and then you had the... oh, wait, no. Mobile browsing... Oh, never mind. Okay, I take that back. That's mobile browsing market. That's not what I want. So, let's see. 9 to 5 Mac. What does this say? Apple gained 9.1% in the UK, mostly at the expense of Windows phones. Interesting. Let's see. Okay. Kantar World Panel Comtech Smartphone OS sales shares percent January 2017. Let's see here. USA. Okay. Android. Like 60%. iOS 37. That can't be right. These can't be right. I don't know. I give up. Like,
fair enough.
How hard is it to find?
It's an unfair comparison either way.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I was just curious to see, like, if for whatever reason I thought iOS was actually beating Android, but I guess it's not. So.
I bet that they probably are more popular than any single manufacturer of Android devices.
That actually is probably true. Maybe
that would not surprise me.
Maybe, well, but there's only one manufacturer that makes iOS devices.
Well, yeah, and that's the disadvantage that you have to deal with if you're trying to say Apple is more popular.
Yeah. So, creating monopoly. Anyway. So, yes. So, Windows Phone, dead. And I'm not going to bother reading through the rest of this.
As it should have been for a long time.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother reading through the rest of that because we have a second Microsoft news story. This one I really want to dig into. You ready? Zach, how do you feel about Cortana?
It's annoying. And I disable it as soon as possible.
Yes. And here's an even better reason to disable it. So Microsoft's Cortana Assistant can now remember what books, TV shows, movies, recipes, and restaurants you like and don't want to forget. The company just introduced its new Cortana Collections feature, which essentially works like a Pinterest board built into your Windows 10 device. Cortana pops up whenever a user is on a web page that might have content worth saving, like on a page to buy a book. So it'll ask the user to either create a list to save the content, add it to a favorites list, or dismiss the notification altogether. You can see how, so there's a video if you want to go see how it works. Microsoft writes in its post announcing this feature, Cortana is always learning, so the more you let Cortana help you, the more Cortana does for you. And the more
data we get for advertising.
Exactly.
See, it's just another one of those features that sounds great until you realize that Microsoft can also use that feature to collect advertising data. And guess what they probably do?
But most people have a tinfoil hat on, and they just like, oh, hey, this thing is cool, and they don't understand the whole, it's sending my data back to Microsoft, and yada, yada, yada.
It's not even so much a tinfoil hat theory, because it's been proven.
Okay, I guess you're right. But I guess the argument could be that people are like, oh, yeah, but this is the part where the tinfoil hat comes in.
They just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't know.
They just don't know at all.
Exactly.
Maybe they don't care. They should care. It's not that important.
I don't think...
It's probably not the end of the world, but it just should make you feel a little...
I don't think that it's people not caring. I think it's people being misinformed. I think is what it is.
I think that's probably more true than them not caring.
Yeah. If you're comfortable having your built-in virtual assistant monitor everything you're looking at online, then sure, Cortana Collection seems like a legitimately useful feature. If not, then I'd stay away from collections. Or
if you didn't have to constantly worry about, if you didn't have to constantly look for ways that they can use these features to collect data, might be a little more useful.
I would agree with you.
But this is just basically them collecting data now with your permission.
I could be a little tinfoil hat on this, but according to Apple, Siri does all the learning on the device.
Possible.
And it's local to the device. It doesn't go shoot up to their cloud. It stays local to the device.
And that's how it should be.
It should be. Now, what I say, I could be a little tinfoil hat on that because, I'm taking Apple's word on that's what they're doing. So, anyway. But, no, I do agree with you. It should be localized to the device. It shouldn't be sending data back up to the cloud where it can be collected.
I think tinfoil hat would be the correct term, only if you were doubting what they said, not agreeing with it.
No. What I'm saying is that...
And even then, it would only really apply if you were saying something that's kind of ridiculous.
Well, what I'm saying is the conspiracy theory is kind of ish that, I guess what I'm saying is I'm believing what Apple is telling me, and so,
it's kind of a... They haven't really done anything to make you doubt things like that they say yet.
That's true. So, but it only takes that one instance. Only takes the one instance. Anyway.
Well, as soon as they prove themselves to be liars in that department, nobody's gonna believe them again.
Speaking of collecting data, have you heard of the OnePlus company thing? The OnePlus One, OnePlus 2, yada yada smartphone company?
They're pretty good, apparently.
Are they? Till you learn that the Chinese smartphone manufacturer, OnePlus, is actually collecting data from its users and transmitting it to servers, along with each device's serial number.
What? You gotta be kidding, right? I thought pretty good of that.
According to security researcher Chris Moore, that is. So, this is what makes it even worse. It's not just collecting your data, which, okay... They shouldn't be collecting data in the first place, but they're collecting the data and the serial number of the device that it's coming from. So when you put those two together,
tied back to you.
Exactly.
It's not just aggregated data; it's data that can tie back to you personally.
Exactly. Well, Microsoft.
That's arguably worse than what Microsoft does.
Well, okay, so Microsoft does collect data, right? But they also collect your machine ID as well. Your machine ID is tied to your Windows installation key.
Yeah, I forgot they do that too.
Your Windows installation key is then linked to you, kind of ish. But anyway.
Well, they say all the data is aggregated and not tied back to you, but I mean,
you're right. There are more steps in it when you consider like the whole Microsoft thing and stuff, I guess.
That's the kind of thing you should probably take with a truckload of salt.
A truckload of salt. Anyway. So, but yes.
Well,
so OnePlus. I'm not going to disagree with you. OnePlus. But OnePlus, yes, the Chinese company. Well, they're Chinese, so does it surprise you?
It still kind of does because they had a pretty decent reputation.
I thought they did too until I read the story, and then I was like, oh, well, maybe not.
I mean, if there's any truth to that, then yeah, that's pretty damaging for them.
Right, okay, so here's what I said this in the past before. I expect companies to collect data on me. I expect Google to do it. I expect Facebook to do it. I expect Apple to do it on my smartphone.
Now that, if it's true, is a big if.
Yeah,
because what you said so far leads me to believe that there's just one person who says.
Well, but okay, so here's the thing. I've come to the conclusion, let me say this first, though. I've come to the conclusion, and I've come to being okay with the fact that certain companies are going to collect data on me. It's just the world we live in nowadays.
If you use their service, they're probably getting data from you.
Exactly. Like I said, Google does it all the time. I know that. I still use Google services. Here is the thing, though. When you start taking that data and associating back to something that can physically tie it to you, that's when I start to be like, no, that is not okay.
Agreed.
So, and I mean, of course, the simple solution that somebody would probably tell me is well, just don't use the service then.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
I mean, it's possible, yeah, but.
So.
Google's pretty big.
Yeah. In a January blog post, which has gained newsfound attention this week, more detailed how OnePlus devices running Oxygen OS recorded data at various points, including when a user locks and unlocks the screen, when apps are open, used and closed, and this is the scary one, which Wi-Fi networks the device is connected to.
So basically that would give them location data as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So basically they're collecting a whole bunch of things that they shouldn't be.
Well, okay. They say that this is actually all relatively standard. So, the part that I would say isn't standard is the fact that they're collecting the serial number as well. So, and not, well, okay. So, yeah, they collect the IMEI number from the phone. Now...
That's still unique, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the, so... Think about how all NICs in the world, network interface cards, so any device, for our less techie viewers, so any device that connects to the internet, be it your phone, your laptop, your computer, all have something called a MAC address. It is a unique number that is assigned to the network card or network interface of your device, and basically it is kind of like a physical home address or whatever. It identifies what that device is, and then it determines where traffic needs to go by saying, oh, hey, it actually goes here, and it goes here to this. Anyway, so the IMEI is basically the same thing.
It's basically the mobile network's equivalent of that, isn't it? Or
I'm not sure.
It's still unique.
Yeah,
I know
it's
that
unique.
Much.
Okay, probably a better comparison is if you think of all devices out there, kind of, or most things, they have serial numbers on them, right?
Right.
They identify the serial number. It's the same thing with the IMEI. It's like a serial number.
It's a unique identifier.
Yeah, and so no other device in the world should have that number.
So whatever it's used for, they can use that number to identify the device.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So they collect the IMEI number from
Which
the
is
phone,
why it's troubling that they're collecting.
but they're also collecting the phone number and the mobile network names as well.
So basically, they're collecting everything that isn't bolted.
Basically. So the data that is sent is identifiable to you personally with little to no effort actually required.
Yeah, that should be a no.
I would agree with you on that one. So that makes this very problematic. Now, according to Moore, the code responsible for the data collection is part of OnePlus's device manager and OnePlus device manager provider. Now, Moore says, in his case, the service had sent off 16 megabytes of data in 10 hours.
I mean, that's not too much, so it's not like you should be concerned about your data cap over this.
Yeah, but still, it shouldn't be sending data back. Well, okay,
Yes.
It shouldn't be sending certain data back, like the IMEI number, and the phone number, and the mobile network number, and the Wi-Fi network one.
And most of the things that it's collecting.
Yeah. So, now in a statement, OnePlus said it does transmit analytics to an Amazon server in 2 streams. The first is for usage analytics to fine-tune its software, and the second stream is device information, which it collects for after-sale support. Further, the company says users can turn off the data collection by going to Settings, then Advanced, and then deselecting the option in Join User Experience Program. There's no way to disable the second stream. Here is my thing about this. So, okay.
Second stream.
What'd you say?
Which of those things are in the second stream, though?
That's a good point, too. I don't know.
Well, it's probably pretty important.
The second stream is device information, which it collects for after-sale support.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of the scary stuff.
Yeah, as I'm thinking about that, so device information, so yeah. But here's my other thing about this real quick here. So they do give you an option to at least turn part of it off by unchecking the Join User Experience Program. Here's my thing, though. When you set up the phone, it should
That should be a part of the setup process.
It should ask you, exactly. It should ask you, do you want to be a part of this or not?
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be on by default.
And you should be able to turn all of it off. Not just what they say.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Even still at that point, I would expect them to still collect some data.
Well, I mean, it's 2017, so you're probably right there, but...
Data sells nowadays. But...
Of course it does.
Anyway. So, with that being said, because I've seen, like, videos on the OnePlus or whatever, and I'm like, oh, hey, this thing actually looks pretty cool. Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunate.
It is unfortunate because it looks like a nice device, but yeah, not with that. So, here's another company that you love. You know, well, I don't know if we can necessarily make fun of, but you love talking about. You love talking about ISPs.
Oh yes, I love saying bad things about ISPs.
Actually, you know what? This one, some PR is probably needed in this case. So, we're talking about T-Mobile. A vulnerability on a T-Mobile website could have allowed hackers to access customers' account data with just, get this, all they needed was a phone number.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
The question is, did they do it?
Well, security researchers...
I bet they did.
Who? Hackers?
Yes.
Well, we'll get into that in a moment. So, security researcher Karin Saini, founder of startup Secure7, discovered that flaw, discovered the flaw last week and informed T-Mobile about it. So T-Mobile quickly patched the bug, and they actually offered him $1,000 for finding
That's
the bug.
it?
Yeah.
Sounds like not too much for how glaring of a flaw that is.
Right? Especially if it wasn't caught. Like, can you imagine, like, the lawsuits that possibly could have came from this?
Yeah. It would have spent a lot more than $1,000 on lawyers for that one.
Remember, though, it's an ISP. ISPs are cheap.
Well, they make tons of money. They just don't like to spend it.
Exactly, yes. So the bug, which affected T-Mobile's WSG.T-Mobile.com API, could have exposed users, get this, users' names, email addresses, account numbers, and the IMSI network codes for their smartphones. That's according to Motherboard. With an IMSI number, an attacker could track a victim's location as well as intercept calls and text messages.
So basically, they could do a lot of bad things.
Yes. Yep. Exploiting this bug was as easy as running a query for someone else's phone number, the report notes. So it wasn't really all that hard. Moreover, the researchers said the vulnerability would have made it easy for someone with malicious intent to steal the personal information of all T-Mobile customers.
And they only paid the guy $1,000 for telling them about this?
Yup.
He probably could have made hundreds of thousands of dollars selling that information to people who would abuse it.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Oh, man, why am I so tired today? So an attacker could have ran a script to scrape the data from all 76 million T-Mobile customers to create a searchable database with accurate and up-to-date information on all users. Yeah, and they only paid the guy $1,000.
And this bug existed.
Yes. Makes me wonder, like, how do these bugs get created and then not, like, who is doing quality control?
Do they not have people to make sure this stuff doesn't happen?
Right? Yeah. It's like, if you're running any company that deals with, like, people's personal information and stuff like that, like, you would think that you would be on the ball about protecting that data.
You should be legally required to be on the ball, whether you want to be or not.
That's true. So, there's been a lot of data breaches-ish lately. But I'm still curious to see what's going to happen with this whole Equifax thing. If Equifax is even going to be a company in the next couple years. Or
I'm going to be surprised if they weren't.
Especially like a company like Equifax. But see, that's my other thing too. Is like, how does this happen? Is there so little quality control that like people are just like, oh, it's not a problem. We don't have to worry about it.
Security through obscurity doesn't work. As soon as somebody finds out about it, you have a problem. A problem that might require several lawyers and millions of dollars to resolve.
Well, and if you remember,
you really want to have a problem like that?
If you remember, was it Australia that we said? I think it was like, no, it was either Australia,
Argentina.
No, I think it was like Australia or like New Zealand.
You're talking about Equifax thing?
Yeah, remember where they had like admin as the default username and like password as the default
I'm pretty sure it was like Argentina or some South American country.
I thought it was New Zealand or something like that. Anyway, so like, and you're right though. So security by obscurity. Oh, I wonder what the password could be. Nobody's gonna guess its password. Like, isn't that like Hacker 101? Where, like, well, that's not even...
Before you start trying to crack the password, just try admin pass.
Yeah, admin pass or admin password or, like, whatever.
Whatever.
Or 1234 or, like...
whatever.
Anyway.
Really?
So, I guess if you're a T-Mobile customer, though, you have nothing to worry about now. Because in a statement to PC Magazine, T-Mobile said it resolved the flaws less than 24 hours after they were reported. Whether that's actually true or not, I don't think we'll actually know.
One would hope. I mean, I guess the guy can just go and try his little tricks again and see if it works.
So this says, according in the statement, we have confirmed that we have shut down all known ways to exploit it. T-Mobile said. As of this time, we have found no evidence of customers' accounts affected as a result of this vulnerability. But, excuse me. Okay, excuse me. I think I'm done burping there. An anonymous hacker tells Motherboard, however, though, a different story. Saying a bunch of SIM swapping skids had the vulnerability and used it for quite a while. They apparently used that stolen information obtained via the hack to trick T-Mobile employees into handing over new SIM cards and hijacking phone numbers by impersonating the rightful owner of the line.
Right.
When
so they're full of crap when they say nobody used the bug.
Well, okay, another statement from T-Mobile. When Motherboard asked T-Mobile about the hacker's claim, the carrier reiterated that it had found no evidence of customer accounts being affected by the flaw. So, either a couple things are happening here. Either T-Mobile, either the hackers really did a good job and they
cleaned up after themselves.
Yeah, they cleaned up after themselves and they succeeded, or T-Mobile is not wanting to admit that.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that they actually got hacked. So, if you think about it, though, like, less PR.
Either or would be completely plausible.
Either or would be, or the hackers are just, spreading complete bull. So, that could be too, but
maybe.
Anyway. So, I mean, that's pretty much all I have for main topics this week. Let me dive into a couple other things real quick here. What are your views on portable SSDs, Zach?
Never tried one. Don't know.
I've never tried one either. So, if you're accident prone, a company called Silicon Power has a new waterproof SSD.
Interesting.
Comes in 120 gigabytes, 240 gigabytes, or a 480 gigabyte model. It uses USB 3.1 via Type-C connector and comes with a USB-C to USB-A cable.
Well, if it's USB-C, it's probably got at least plenty of bandwidth to play with there.
File transfer speeds are moderate, 500 megabytes a second, and 450 megabytes for reading and writing.
That's about your average speed for a SATA SSD.
Mm-hmm. It's just behind what you'll find on Samsung's own portable SSDs. It's 11.9 millimeters thick, and they are arguing that it is the thinnest portable SSD on the market.
I didn't know that was a desirable title to have.
Well, everyone wants smaller
I guess it's
nowadays.
Not an undesirable title, but I just don't understand people's fascination with gotta be the it's fine to be thin, have the thinnest device on the market as long as you didn't sacrifice any performance.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, there is no pricing on this yet. So, I'd be interested in getting like a portable SSD just to have one. So
I just don't think I'd use one.
Yeah.
Also, my laptop doesn't even have a USB-C connection, so...
Well, but it came with
I'd be stuck on USB 3.0, which is just going to get bottlenecked.
Yeah, you're right. So, Sprint is Sprint just launched a new parental control app called Safe and Found. So it can help you keep tabs on what your kid is doing in the real world and online.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Do you want to know how much it costs?
There was a time when similar things were used
on you?
Specifically to control when I got to go on the computer. This is like quite a long time ago.
You're still clipping yourself at the end, I will tell you that.
What can you do?
So the app costs $6.99 a month.
And you gotta pay for it?
Mm-hmm. It is jam-packed full of features intended to give you peace of mind. So you can view your child's smartphone location in real time or set up safety areas like home, school, or work and receive alerts when they enter or leave these zones. There's also an SOS button which lets you send an emergency alert with your location to all family members at once. And the app also lets you restrict incoming email and calls to only trusted numbers. Make sure installed apps are age appropriate for your kids and regulate their usage to certain times of day.
This is the kind of thing that's going to probably be extremely annoying to anyone who doesn't know how to root their phone.
Oh, yeah. Or if you have an iPhone.
You can still root your iPhone.
Yeah, you can jailbreak your iPhone.
They just call it jailbreaking.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. They just call it something else.
Right? It also filters out inappropriate web content and blocks certain apps from youngsters' phones. Plus, if your phone is lost or stolen, you can use the app to locate, lock, and wipe it.
That's about the only useful feature in that.
Okay, so here's what I would say about this, okay? If you have a young kid, like elementary school age or so, you know, who is a latchkey kid.
Why does an elementary school kid have a smartphone?
Because elementary school kids are getting smartphones nowadays.
You're right.
So, but if you're a latchkey...
I feel old. Like, what the heck, man?
Right? Well, okay. I remember I got my first smartphone when I was in 6th grade. No, 7th grade.
I got my first when I was in, I was a freshman in high school. It was secondhand. But, you know, I didn't even mind that.
Right. But if you're a latchkey kid, like if you have a latchkey kid, I can see, you know, so an elementary latchkey kid, I can see where, I think that's the correct term, right? Latchkey kid?
I don't even know what that means, to be honest. Okay.
Basically what it is like you have a kid, right? And your kid has, like, a key to the house. Actually, usually you don't do, like, super young kids. I think it's, like, you know, 6th grade or something like that. Anyway, but what it is you give your kid a key to the house and they let themselves in and then...
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
There. So, you know, take the bus, they get let off the bus, they go home. Anyway, so I could see it as a feature like that where you've got a kid like that who, you know, takes the bus home or walks home or whatever and gets home before you do. I could see...
I mean...
For a younger kid...
While I appreciate some of the ideas, I guess, it just seems like a helicopter parent tool.
I think the thing about this is it needs to be used in a responsible manner. So, like I said, if you
as someone who is subjected to parental controls on the computer, I have somewhat of a personal interest in saying, screw this.
But see, okay.
Because I still remember how horrible it was. Ugh.
How old were you, though?
I was in middle school. Okay,
so here's my thing. Okay,
if I could go back in time, I would have broken the crap out of all of those controls. But time machines don't exist yet.
Right? Sorry. Yeah. So here's my thing. Like middle school, I think it would depend on like my kids, like you know how responsible they seem and things like that. So I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to using something like this, but my thing is I would use it as like I would have to what am I trying to spit out? Like I wouldn't want to overdo it, if that makes any sense at all.
It does.
So anyway, but yeah, no, I wouldn't want to overdo it at all, but I think like in certain aspects it actually wouldn't be a bad idea. So, anyway. Oh, I just got really scared there for a second.
What happened?
I have one of those oh crap moments.
Yes.
Where it's like, I did remember to start the stream this week, and yeah, I did.
I would have just quit the call and not come back until next week.
No,
because that would be what you'd get to deal with for forgetting for an hour and 15.
Right. Oh, couple messages here. I don't know when these came in. Somebody was watching from Switzerland, by the way. So
you can see that?
Yeah. In fact, it looks like we've got 2 people watching. So myself with the stream up. So that means we've got like 1 live viewer right now. So
does it count hello? You? I don't even know if it counts you.
Yeah,
but,
it counts. Right. It counts.
I guess that's cool.
Yeah, it does count me. So
I'm gonna be famous.
I don't know if this is our viewer from Switzerland here that's on with us right now, but if you are, welcome, and thank you for joining in. So, anyway, but yeah, my thing with this whole sprint thing is that, you know, I would use it in moderation, stuff like that. So
it's probably not as evil as I say it is. I just had a bad experience.
You had a bad experience, yes.
And it wasn't a malicious experience. It was just like, oh man, it was the bane of my existence. And I remember it very clearly. Ugh!
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was frustrating. But it is one of those things.
It's part of the reason, I think, that I'm so protective of my stuff now.
Oh, it makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
Even though it's not really... It's not like somebody's just going to go onto my stuff and load some garbage software on it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
I had a friend whose parents they had like a wireless like keyboard and mouse set. They would take the mouse away at night. Because it was over at his house.
Guess who had that happen to me too? I took to hiding it myself so that nobody could take it. And then I would sneak downstairs at night, and I would go on the computer, and I would usually get away. And then sometimes I wouldn't get away with it. It eventually just got to a point where nobody cared anymore. Because
right.
when I got my own computer for the first time, it just was like, nope, nobody. Well, I mean, actually, I suppose my mother still cared a little bit. She found it annoying, but I liked to sit on the computer.
You know what? Let's do this real quick. What was your first system? Do you remember?
I'm not sure if you could call it mine, but nobody else used it, and I liked to think of it as mine. So it was a hand-me-down tower with like Windows XP. It had a single-core Celeron, a 40 gig hard drive. It was pretty old.
So it was a toaster and all. You know,
I mean, it struggled to run browser games.
Oh,
so yeah, it was
those Flash games from like addictinggames.com.
Those were the best. Oh, I love those.
I remember.
Anybody in middle school who could bypass the filters and go on the game websites was like a.
I went to a summer school program. And I don't think the sites were even blocked, actually, in the school that the program was in. But I remember one time I was sitting there and I was, like, on addictinggames.com. And these were on the Macs because, like, did you have Macs in your school or not?
No. We had Dells.
Okay, so we actually had Macs in this, like, area of the school district or whatever.
Actually, I take that back. They had Mac labs. All of the schools I went to had Mac labs, but there was only one. And they were all in the same district.
Okay, so like
there was one Mac lab, and then every other lab was just Windows, and the Mac lab was always for the creative people. Really, the creative people classes would all take the Mac.
So I don't know how well. Okay, so you live in Chanhassen, so you're a little bit ways out of like.
That's where I'm from.
Kind of the downtown-ish. Well, and I wouldn't even call it downtown. But have you ever heard of Capitol Hill? It was a school.
Yeah. Oh, a school.
Yeah. And we're not talking about.
I sort of feel like I have, but I don't know. I might be wrong.
So Capitol Hill.
I might be.
I remember this school was. Okay, here we go. Capitol Hill, gifted and talented magnet. Excuse me. So it was a magnet school. Where the heck is this? It's in St. Paul. Anyway, the thing I remember about Capitol Hill, because this is where one of my summer school programs was, It was like, there were like 3 schools in it. There was like Capitol Hill, Benjamin E. Mays, and there was like one other school, and they were all combined into one building. And so you had like literally 3 of everything. There were like 3 cafeterias, 3 gyms, and the thing was like a giant maze. I remember it was so easy to get lost in there.
But it's crazy.
Anyway, so yeah, so like the whole St. Paul school district, I think, had because like my school that I went to, the other school that I went to for my summer school program, like during the school year, because there was one during the school year, there was one during the summer, and they were in different buildings, but all those schools have Macs. Anyway, back to my story real quick here. So you know how, and these were like the colored Macs that had the speakers built into them, right?
Oh, okay.
And you know how like the speakers are always turned on, right?
I sort of feel like I get where you're going with this. You tried to play games in class, and the speaker blasted
No. So because it was a summer school program thing, like they let us play on the computers and stuff like that. So we were
they let you do whatever you want.
Yeah,
sometimes.
they let us. Yep, it was like open lab kind of time. Anyway, so I fired up a game on addictinggames.com, and the next thing I know, like the intro, they're like swearing up a storm, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like trying to hit the mute button. Oh, I was mortified. I was like, oh crap, I wasn't expecting that. And like
Did you normally play without sound, I take it?
No, I just didn't, well, I don't know. I just didn't realize that this particular game, like in the intro, like they were going to swear. Or whatever.
Okay.
And so, I don't even remember what game it was, but yeah, I just remember they like, I think it was an F-bomb too. They dropped an F-bomb, and like the aide or whatever, whoever's like supervising us, like just looks over, and I'm like, I don't know what happened.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, it was pretty much one of those.
So, swear.
Yeah, exactly. I was completely mortified, but anyway, so yeah, that's probably my best like memory there from when I was young with like a computer or something like that. So anyway, let's see what else. Western Digital launched the world's first I have it incorrect in the slug. I said 12 terabyte. It's a 14 terabyte hard drive.
Didn't we talk about that last time?
Was it? No. Last week it was, I don't remember who it was last week. Western Digital last week. It was Western Digital last week.
Oh, okay.
And that was for enterprise only. This one is being designed for like PCs and NASA's.
No, it was Hitachi.
No, it wasn't Hitachi.
Right?
No, it was Western Digital.
Sure?
It was Western Digital, yes. I remember.
Okay.
Yep. Anyway, so this one is actually for personal use. You can actually buy this one. Do we have it spins at 7200 RPM, capable of 300 terabytes a year for the workload, and data transfer rates of up to 250 megabytes a second using 6 gigabyte SATA using a 6 gigabyte SATA connection.
6 gigabits per second.
Or
is what that would be.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 6 gigabits per second SATA connection. There we go. Okay. Anyway. It looks like there's a couple of them. So that's the Barracuda Pro. The Iron Wolf drives are for home and small business NASs. So they're rated for 180 terabytes a year. And the Iron Wolf Pros are rated for 300 terabytes a year. So, anyway. Of course, prices are not cheap on these. They range anywhere from, the cheapest looks like $325, the most expensive is $525.
Sheesh.
Oh, I'm sorry, I take that back, $530. So, Sony has developed a projector that turns walls and whatever you basically project the image onto into a giant freaking touchscreen.
That's cool.
It is pretty cool. But do you want to take a guess at how much it costs?
A lot.
Yeah, like $1,700.
Unsurprising.
It's going to be available in select T-Mobile stores in Chicago, Los Angeles, and Miami. But yeah, so the biggest appeal behind it is you basically shoot it on stuff, and then yeah, you can literally like leave notes on it. And I guess it runs like a full version of like Android on it. So basically, yeah, runs a full version of Android Nougat. So basically anything you can do on an Android tablet, you can do on this thing as well. So, kind of cool. So it's like a giant, like tablet projector thing. So yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, that's pretty much all I have for this week. So I don't think there's anything else good this week. Hang on. Let me just take a look here. I think the topics for this week turned out okay-ish. I thought this was going to be kind of a boring show, but I tried to put it together in a decent-ish way. Let me open this up real quick here. The Dubai airport is going to use face scanning virtual aquariums as security checkpoints. I don't know how that works. So
strange.
Other than that, that's really all I have this week. So, and developers found a way to get unlimited uncompressed storage on Google Photos if you don't have a Pixel. So, other than that, yeah, we pretty much covered everything else that I had in the document for this week. So, yeah. So with that being said then, I think it is time to end this episode of The Ram Show. Thank you so much for joining in if you did. And we're going to catch you next week with more great topics. And until then, let's see if I get this right. If you click on this side, you can subscribe. If you click on this side, you can watch last week's episode. And until then, we'll see you next week right here on The Ram Show.